right, everyone. Welcome to the David A. Bettis podcast. And today we have a special guest today. We have Dawn Porthouse, an amazing rock star in the tax resolution space. If you don't know what tax resolution is, you got to listen to this because I promise you it's something you don't want to miss. She is a rock star in her space. In less than 5 years, she's grown a huge business and now serving literally hundreds of clients in different types of tax challenges. And these challenges are something you got to overcome at one point in our lives. And I promise you, if you haven't had an opportunity to meet this woman, you're going to be glad that you did today. So let me introduce Miss Dawn Porthouse. Hey, everybody. I got my amazing guest, Dawn Porthouse, here. She is a tax professional, a guru of taxes, and an all-around amazing business owner I want to introduce you to. So, Dawn, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, Dawn, tell us, what do you do? Tell the guys what you do.
Well, I specialize in tax resolution and small business tax planning. So I help people reduce their taxes that they pay to Uncle Sam.
Really? Okay. So how long have you been doing this?
About 5 years.
Awesome. And how long have you been in the tax industry?
About 5 years.
Oh, okay. I thought you'd been in a little longer. So in 5 years, you've really built some skills. I think you have some credentials, right? You have.
I have my enrolled agent. I've got an MBA and an MPA.
Oh man, you have got a very good trifecta. They call that the trifecta. So tell everybody, if they don't really know what that is, what is an EA?
An EA is an enrolled agent, which means I'm licensed to practice in front of the IRS. I can do everything a CPA can do. The only thing I can't do, which you need to be a lawyer for, is to go to tax court.
You know, it's interesting because I hung out with a bunch of EAs this past week, and one of the things that they said, which really stood out to me, and it made me think about this, is that a CPA has to get licensed in every state that they want to do business.
Mm-hmm.
And an EA doesn't.
No. At this point they don't. There is I forgot if it was Michigan, there is a state looking at licensing requirements for EAs.
Hey, I mean, the more licensing, that means the more credentials you have. The more credentials you have, the more you can, more it costs to do business with you, which is good for you and makes you more credible in the customer's eyes, right?
Yes.
That's awesome. So how did you get into the tax industry? Talk to me about that.
Okay, I'll have to make it short, but I basically decided I didn't want to work in corporate America anymore. And I just one day went in, quit my job, and went back from my MBA, and then was just looking for something part-time to do.
What was the corporate America job? What were you doing?
I was the head of a grants and contracts office for a research company.
Okay, so did you actually write grants?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, do you still know how to do that?
I write grants, and I used to manage multi-million-dollar grants.
Wow.
And contracts with the NIH, DOD. Yeah, that was my world for a long time.
So that was but that was a private or a public company, like a
private.
Okay, that's really cool. And so you really didn't like that, or is it just because, the industry was taxing, to say, or what was the reason for leaving?
It was just I had a friend that was diagnosed with a brain tumor who I worked with, and she had to leave. And when she did, it made me look around and realize I don't want to do this the rest of my life. I need a change.
Wow. So it was like an epiphany for you.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So when you left that, you decided to get into you went back to school, then you got into the tax industry. And as a tax business owner, what do you think is the number one challenge you face every day?
Trying to help customers. Every situation is unique. And I think one of the biggest problems we have right now is getting a hold of the IRS.
That's funny. The biggest problem is getting a hold of the IRS.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's funny. So, everybody is kind of unique in their tax challenges, and getting a hold of them has always been a challenge. So, well, what are you doing to combat that? Like, how do you handle customers who really want to get an issue solved with you, want you to help them, but it just takes a long time to either get an IRS agent on the phone to get them to respond, or to get the resolution they want. What are you doing to help and alleviate that?
Well, we just have constant communication with them, like at least once a week or twice every other week. I just let them know the status of what's going on. And I think that's most appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think that, I mean, do you think that it'll ever get better for the IRS and you to communicate?
We hope so, but right now the government is not looking to fund additional hires. They're looking to fund what they're looking to fund, and what they put money into was for more audits and tax problems. They're looking more at the that part of the IRS.
But that's more AI, right? Like most of that stuff is now AI stuff, like audit. I mean, obviously the audit review process is not AI, but I'm assuming like the technology to figure out like trends or find things that could be warning flags. I'm sure that's where they're investing.
Not as much as you would think. They're still using very antiquated technology. It would be nice if, yeah, some of the technology doesn't talk to each other. So what you and I take for granted does not happen at the IRS.
Oh. So what are some of the like tax resolution? By the way, for those who are listening, what is tax resolution? Because you referenced that.
So basically, what that is people that have tax problems, unfiled tax returns. You have owed money, and you didn't want to deal with it, or it's more you owe money or you owe something to the IRS, and you need to get it resolved because they're now hanging it over your head by threatening liens, levies.
Okay, and so you help people who have those type of challenges get out of those challenges. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes.
Awesome. And so when you do this, like what are the most common issues people run into in their taxes today? Like that you run into? What are the most common reasons?
Most of the common reasons I see are small business owners who don't pay quarterlies because they don't realize they made a profit and they have to pay that. But usually it's people that are doing, I'm seeing a lot of gig economy workers when they're getting that 1099. They don't really understand that, yes, they're a business, but you make a profit, Uncle Sam wants his fair share. And also, a lot of people don't understand tax planning strategies, which a lot of businesses can do once you reach a certain threshold.
I got a question. So, I mean, how much does a gig kind of driver, like I'm assuming you're talking about like gig workers, like drivers for Uber and those kind of people, right? I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you
Yes.
see like their income being? I'm just curious because I've never done a Uber driver or a Lyft person. How much income do they typically drive home?
It depends on how they structure it. If they're just doing it part time, their income is usually non existent because their expenses outweigh it. But if a person is doing the Uber in addition to other services like a transportation company, I've seen it over 200, 300,000.
Crap, that's a lot of money. So, but what if it was just me like doing it full time, like as my main gig? What do you think I would make?
Based on what I see with what Uber and Lyft reimburse, you don't usually make a lot of money unless you're doing high end runs. If you're just doing local runs especially in the rural areas, but if you're coming out of the airport, you have a better chance of making more money with the black premium services.
Got it. I'm just thinking about it like, I mean, I think tax strategy for everything, and I'm thinking, do these guys and like could they be S corps and could they structure their vehicle to be, an expense and so on and so forth, but I don't know if that's possible. I just don't understand
Yeah,
it.
I mean they can be an S corp. I think it just depends on how much money they're making and can they handle being an S corp.
Yeah.
Some people should never be a corporation.
I agree with that. I think a lot of people, it's funny is that I get on Facebook or Instagram or somewhere and everybody's like, be an S corp. And I'm like, nah, you don't maybe need to be an S corp, right? I mean, you probably don't even have the income to be an S corp. It's going to cost you more money to deal with the problem later than it is going to solve it, right? So it's a very good insight. Very good insight. So if you help people with these tax challenges, you're seeing all these things and you're seeing the most common stuff going out. What is how does a business like yours succeed in a time where the IRS has so many backlogs and things? I would imagine that clients come to you and they're like, well, can you help me today? And you say no. So you take a few months or years like to get this done. How long does it take?
It depends on what we're looking for. Some things it will take months, but you're already on the IRS's radar of, working on it. Once you have that power of attorney in place, they know they have somebody to deal with. So that usually means I get copies of the notices. So we're here to take the burden off of you. We'll give you that peace of mind that we get the IRS notice, we're gonna handle it.
Nice. So how much, well, not how much, like how much, well, yeah, how much money is one of your biggest clients that you've saved to get out of some trouble with the IRS? Do you have a number?
About 30,000.
That's pretty damn good. $30,000 they got out of the hole with the IRS.
Yes.
That is a huge number. I mean, I can tell you right now that people who have a tax liability probably are the ones that are scared the most, right? What happens if you don't solve that problem immediately? What happens to a person by the IRS standards?
Unfortunately, if you ignore the notices, that's the worst thing you could do. Don't ever ignore a notice. But if you do, and then you're coming to us when it's already late, we can, as long as you get the right agent or there's a revenue officer assigned, it's a matter of, working through some steps, figuring out how much you can afford to pay, what we can move around. It's really a strategy. It's not a one size fits all.
So when somebody has a problem, they probably don't even know people like you exist. And, maybe they're thinking about going to somebody local. Maybe they're looking at one of the national chains. Maybe they're looking at an H&R Block, for an example. What would you say to somebody who's thinking about going to somebody like that? What should they be looking for or thinking about?
You want to look for somebody that's an expert that has actually done these, because not everyone really understands all the rules and regulations, and also how to strategize to get you the best deal possible. Some of the national organizations that do tax resolution, you don't have that personal touch either. You don't have that call me on the phone, I have a question, can you help me?
I'm pretty confident they probably just have some sort of referral service to somebody who's a national chain of that same practice. And then you lose that connectivity. I would imagine, like, I want to, because if I was in a tax problem, I don't want to, I sometimes listen to like XM radio, right? And you get on XM, and I know about tax resolution because we're in the business. And so I'm listening, and then somebody's like, do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS? And it's like, we can help. And then I'm like, do I really want to just fax in some documents to some company I've never met or never will meet, and people that I'll never even understand, like, get to know me? Or do I want to go to Dawn down the street from my house, who, even though, maybe Dawn isn't putting commercials on TV, at least I know where to find Dawn.
Yeah, and I mean, I do work with people throughout the country, but it's still individuals. We're not a big firm, we're a small firm, and I plan on staying that way because I think the interactions with the clients is the most important part of it.
Correct.
It's
I agree with that.
those three letters can put a lot of fear into people.
It's interesting. And by the way, I think that I'll give you a side story, right? Because so I'm out of town last week, and I get a message from one of my assistants here at our headquarters, and she sends me a picture, and the picture is of an IRS card, of a business card of an IRS agent, and I'm like, okay. So then I see her typing in the messenger, and she's like, this lady says she needs to talk to you now, and I'm like, oh shit. Like, what did I do? I'm thinking, what did I do? Because I mean, my returns are legit. Everything is good. Like, but you hear it, you see it, and it's just like, oh my God, like your heart kind of like trips a little beat, and you're like, crap, what do I do? And so I have like this dilemma in my mind. I'm like, should I just pretend that I didn't get this and wait till next week till I get back into my office? Or should I call this lady right now? And then so I wait like 3 or 4 minutes. I'm like, I just got to call her because I can't deal with this suspense. So I call this lady, and she says, verifies my identity. And then she says, hey, I'm here because I wanted to verify some information. I said, okay, what can I verify for you? And she goes, I want to know about your second quarter 941 filings. And I'm like, okay, well, the second quarter just finished. And I'm thinking in my mind, right? But at the same time, I'm confused. And she's just like, yeah, looks like we don't have anything on record. And based on history, your estimated payments or your tax deposits are not in alignment and all that. And she's like interrogating the crap out of me. And I'm like, okay, I'm answering all these questions. And then all of a sudden I realize, I'm like, ma'am, am I behind on my taxes or my filings? And she says, no, you're not. I'm like, so why are we having this conversation, right? And I'm freaking out. And she's like, well, you're on my list because your federal deposits are less than last quarter, and I want to know why. And I'm like, I said, well, I did have legitimate excuses. What we've done is we created a professional services organization, and all my employees are being transferred into this new organization. So the payroll taxes, they're still getting paid. They're just not getting paid through that company anymore. And she's freaking me out, and she's telling me that she's demanding that she needs my 941 for the second quarter. And I'm like, I have a deadline to the 30th. And so anyways, just to kind of give everybody some kind of like some insight here. If you ever get a letter or a notice or anything, especially that's scary, but getting somebody to come to your office, that's some scary shit. And I'm still dealing with her because I told her I'm not trying to fight with her. We use a kind of an outsourced payroll provider, and the payroll provider said, hey, look, we got till the 30th, and I'm like, or 31st, and I said, you're right. I shouldn't have to do something in advance of a deadline for the IRS. They don't send me well, I don't get a refund. They don't let me get a grace period for the deposits. You know what I mean?
No, they don't.
So, by the way, I received an interest check from the IRS last year. I don't know. Have you ever got one of those?
Yeah, we got one last year too. It was funny.
Yeah, I was like, man, they sent me money. This is good.
Yeah, then they tax you on it. So
yeah. Then we have to report it. So we have, you do a lot of I wanted to share that story just for the emphasize that you really do help people with these big challenges. And if you're out there, this is important. Tax planning, or not tax planning, tax resolution is a huge industry. Like, do you know the stats or anything? Do you have a stat you can share with me? Like how many people are like behind on a return or owe some sort of debt to the IRS? Do you know that stat?
No, because they still haven't. The IRS is behind on their
Could
postings.
you guess? How about a guess?
Oh, I'm thinking millions.
Okay.
Just because they started sending out all the notices, and that the IRS enforcement is the one getting funded. So we're going to see a lot more letters and a lot more people trying to get into compliance.
It's interesting is that I think there's more letters going out today than ever before, and there's less IRS workers than ever before.
Well, some of the letters are wrong too, so you have to deal with that.
Oh yeah, we had some clients receive a letter a few weeks back that was just totally incorrect. It said that we had filed the wrong return or something like that, and I was just, and you know what I've been getting lately is that we used to use a lot of electronic signatures on documents. Like we would send them in because a lot of our clients we don't actually physically see; they're remote, so we use like a DocuSign or an Adobe. And now the IRS is being very nitpicky, and they're sending us notices that they won't accept electronic signatures. I don't know if that's always been a rule, but I've never had a problem until this year before.
No,
you know if that's a rule?
No, that's not a rule. Not for tax returns or for.
No, for like elections, S corp elections, for.
Oh yeah, some of those are still antiquated with the. It's not all of them. They haven't accepted all of the e-signatures yet.
Yeah, power of attorneys for sure.
You can do power of attorneys.
What's that?
You can do power of attorneys, and you upload it to the portal. But
well, can I have you call them for me?
That's what it says in the. Yeah, I'll have to find the regulation, but it does say you can use electronic signature.
Well, I pick my battles with the IRS, and some of them I don't want to go that deep with.
I agree.
I have a feeling they have like this like internal system where they just like naughty list click and they're just like give them shit.
Yeah, that unit's still short staffed, so that handles those. So yeah, it's not surprising.
It's kind of like I think about the IRS kind of like when you like you don't want to piss somebody off, even though you don't really like them, but you got to be really cordial because if you just piss them off, it's just like, it's like I guess if I had a girlfriend a long time ago, and I didn't like her parents, but I had to be real nice because if I pissed them off, they wouldn't let me see her. You know,
Oh,
you see what I'm saying? Like that's how I feel
oh
like the
yeah.
IRS treats me.
That goes with any government agency. I can honestly say that.
That is so true. When I cross the border like just commuting sometimes to go out and just kind of shop and stuff. And when you come back, you got to be real serious. Like you can't make jokes because you make a joke, and they're like, "No, we got to take that serious." So I get it. So Don, any business tips or any tips on taxes that you want to give to any business owners that may be watching? Anything they should be focused on right now?
I think for business owners is the biggest thing I see is do not commingle funds. Keep your personal and your business. So open a separate checking account. I mean, I see that with people making 10,000 to 100,000. People still like to use different credit cards. It's like everything should just be separate, nice and clean books. That is one of the biggest things, especially if you have to fight on a Schedule C or a business return. Yeah, I mean, if you're really small and you're just starting out, you don't really need a bookkeeping software. But if you at least maybe an Excel spreadsheet, or at least if you keep your receipts and write it down on a piece of paper, you can figure out. I have a client that brings me a book every year with her receipts. Everything's totaled up, and it's all. So she doesn't make enough to warrant doing bookkeeping, but I can do her return in like 5 minutes because she's so organized.
I was at a conference last week, and there was a bank there. They were a bank, and they only opened only business accounts, and included in your banking service was like an integration where like the actual banking app, like basically was a bookkeeping software, and it would actually pretty much categorize everything, and at the end of the month, it would give you a P&L. And I thought it was pretty cool, except that I mean the only problem that I had with it was like, well, there was a few problems because I was just trying to figure out who it was for, and I guess maybe the salespeople were stupid. Just to be truthful, I'm sorry if they're watching this, but they were. But the product I thought was really cool, but they didn't do anything personal. It was only for businesses. So I was like, I wouldn't want to have a business account only here. I'd want to have my personal and my business. And it just seemed like a little weird, but I liked the concept. I thought the concept was really good, especially for small business owners, not large business owners, small business owners like the ones you just referenced. Maybe they only make, less than 50,000 and it's really easy to manage expenses. That'd be really cool. I mean, it's just
Something I always say, just keep it simple. And as you start getting more money or you start making more profit, then we'll talk about you have to move to do something else. And one of my passions is actually helping small businesses grow. And I've had a couple of that started with me when I first started making 20,000, now making 70, 80,000 a year in profit. And a lot of it's just by using expenses to, and very, the shoebox to now with just coming in with it all written down.
when I first started in this tax business, people would bring receipt bags and shoe boxes, and golly, I hated those days. Um, but I mean, it is what it is, right? It is what it is.
Yep, we do whatever we have to.
That's exactly right. All right, Don, anything you want to end with? You want to share with the people?
Um, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
There you go. How does someone reach out to you?
You can actually email me at dawn@porthousetaxadvisors.com or check out our website at www.porthousetaxadvisors.com or call us at 774-613-2600.
Perfect. We're going to put all that contact information down below on the description. Don, it's been an awesome interview. Truthfully, I really admire all the things you're doing because there's a lot of people out there that are very much in a bad situation with the IRS. We need more people like you who are out there trying to save and help them not getting in trouble anymore. Because, like we mentioned, the IRS is a bad mamma jamma. You don't want to do with that.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being a guest. We'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Thank you.